Okay.
But for a bulk of the time, for those 4 years, I had to become the mom.
Wow.
Yeah, in 4th grade at that.
That's so young.
Starting from walking my brothers home, making sure they were fed when we got home. It used to overwhelm me because like on Mother's Day, like they would have to give me the presents and I hated it. I really hated it because I didn't want people to think that I was more grown than I was. You know, I wanted like to be a young girl. And, you know, as a Black girl, they try to make us older. And I really felt it. Like they don't really talk about enough like how much Black girls actually do feel that growing up, how people try to like age us.
Yes.
And I really felt it, especially being like one of the few Black girls in a very like predominantly white community.
Okay.
I had a bigger butt than everybody. I had bigger thighs. I hated sitting down because I like saw how my thighs were pressed down and how thick they were compared to like Sally or Kelly and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
I'm Dr. Michelle Daf, host of the Dr. Daf Show, where life-changing conversations happen.
I think femininity is whatever you make
On
it.
my show, I interview some of the most influential women who share their trials.
I used to shoot drugs in 1989.
Successes.
In that day, I was free from the past.
And life-altering lessons. My show also highlights femininity, elegant living, and embracing your God-given womanhood with helpful and healing conversations. Welcome to the Dr. Daf Show. Today, I have a spunky, sexy, beautiful woman with me, Cindyrella OG. Cindyrella OG, also known as Cindy Wachukwu, prides herself on using her platform to encourage and educate her subscribers on self-discovery, confidence, fashion, lifestyle, and beauty. Her platform operates on the foundation of mental health awareness and aims to offer a real perspective on women coming of age through her videos as well as her podcast, Settling Podcast. Using her master's degree in psychology, Cindy uses her platform to push awareness for mental health in her communities and so much more. Welcome, Cindyrella.
Thank you so much, Michelle. I'm so excited to be here.
You look like $1,000,000, girl.
Thank you so much. I tried.
Listen, your fashion is so nice. Like, I love your
Thank you.
Instagram and the way that you put your looks together. You do such a wonderful job just like exuding elegance. And
Wow, elegance.
You
Really?
do.
Me?
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. I don't feel like that.
You definitely do.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I really do. Thank you. That means so much to me. And I'm really excited to be here, by the way. I really admire you and this platform and what you've built. It's amazing. I love it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about your YouTube channel. I want to say I love your channel
Thank
because your personality is so fun and refreshing and you're just like raw. But I love that you create content that really does help people in life and relationships and just with coming of age and self-discovery. So when people come on your channel, what do you want them to get from you?
I want people to get from my channel mental health from your homegirl. Like, I really want people to, like, when they come to me, I want them to feel like they're on FaceTime, you know, when they're on my vlogs, when they're on my Get Ready With Me's or whatever I'm doing. I really want it to be FaceTime, which is why I kind of started certain videos like my mental wealth diaries and kind of just like talking about my mental health updates, giving people advice, like, and letting people know kind of like that, you know, you might admire what you see, but just know you're not alone in the way you feel as well. I started off my platform doing much like this. I started off 19 years old, fresh and excited, wanting people to see like that there were so many possibilities of careers that they could do. So I started like interviewing Black professionals on my channel. So I had like pharmacists. My cousin was in Harvard Law at the time. So I wanted people to know, hey, you can get into law school and look like this too. And stuff like that. Doctors, lawyers, engineers, pharmacists, MBA at 23, you know? So I started off doing that on my channel and it was something that I really loved. But I realized more and more that I loved connecting with people. And I kind of just turned my channel more and more into that as well. So from there, it kind of went on to me starting other platforms. Like last year, I started Settling Podcast. And, you know, it's become my little passion project, my little baby. I think that's why sometimes I can be a little inconsistent on it because I want everything to be perfect. I still kind of struggle with that. But yeah, that's Cindyrella OG, the brand, has just kind of blown up into something that I did not think it would be. I was just doing videos for fun. I've been making content maybe since I was like in the 8th grade.
Wow.
The first thing I ever made was, the first thing I can actually remember that I actually made was this video for my AP US history class.
Mm-hmm.
We were able to finally do a video project, and that was my bread and butter because I was already like, kind of using Windows Movie Maker. So I knew what I was doing. I was talented.
Of course.
So I used my skills, or Google will tell you everything you need to know. So I really used Google. I laid down tracks, made a parody to Gangsta's Paradise.
Oh, wow.
My vocals are the only vocals on the song.
Okay.
Yes, I had another partner on the project, but it was my project. Okay, I'm really anal when it comes to things like that. But I did a project on how Gandhi influenced Martin Luther King Jr. and how they came together. My partner was Indian. I'm Black, Nigerian American. We both dressed up as both men. Wow. And we recorded across the entire school, like a whole music video. I did a whole skit with my friends that were in my drill team with me. I made them do a skit about racial relations and stuff like that. And it kind of like, from there, I was like, yeah, no, I like this. I really like doing this. I like making projects. I think that's something that people don't really know is like, I've really been passionate about this for a long time, but then you grow up and you have other passions and somehow they intertwine into each other. And I'm really glad that I was able to make that of what it is now.
Well, you always come back, and that's the important thing.
Yes, exactly.
So why the name Cindyrella? Why the name?
So, my name is Cindy.
Okay.
And I grew up as the princess of my household.
Okay.
I always did. And I'm the first granddaughter on my mom's side, but on my dad's side, I'm not.
Okay.
So on my dad's side, he came here at the age of 19 with his older brother, may he rest in peace. And they're the only cousins that I had in America. Okay. So when we saw them for the first time, one of my cousins, Uzoma, kept saying, Cindyrella, Cindyrella. That's what he named me, was Cindyrella, Cindyrella. And so I kind of just took it and ran with it. Cindyrella,
That's so cute.
And the OG, a lot of people think it comes from my middle name, which is Ogechi.
Okay.
But it's not that.
What is that?
Originally Glamorous. That's where I named the OG from. Because, original gangster. That's what the original name is. And I'm that too.
Of course.
But I actually went with, I was like, yeah, I'm originally Glamorous. Like, OG got to stand for something. So,
That's
yeah.
Right. I love that.
That's where it came from.
Growing up in a Nigerian household, that must have been very interesting. It seems like you were very connected with your family. You have these videos that are so funny with your mom and your brother rating your outfits where you're wearing these like skimpy bikinis.
Yep.
And your interaction is just so beautiful with your family. It looks like you're really connected. How was it growing up in a Nigerian American household?
It was not always like that.
Okay.
I've always been close with my mom, yes, but I'm the first daughter in a Nigerian household. We butt heads a lot.
How many siblings do you have?
I have 2 little brothers.
2 younger brothers.
2 younger brothers that I had to be the third parent for.
I see.
My mom was a doctor in Nigeria. I was an optometrist. And obviously when you come to America, you have to start all over. So she actually had to do that. Went back to her undergrad. And then for 4 years, had to go to school in Oklahoma. I live in Texas, had to go to school in Oklahoma away from us. And obviously she tried to come back as much as possible. And like sometimes we would even spend summers in Oklahoma when we could. Okay. But for a bulk of the time for those 4 years, I had to become the mom.
Wow.
Yeah. In 4th grade at that.
That's so young.
Starting from walking my brothers home, making sure they were fed when we got home. It used to overwhelm me because like on Mother's Day, like they would have to give me the presents and I hated it. I really hated it because I didn't want people to think that I was more grown than I was. I wanted like to be a young girl. And, as a Black girl, they try to make us older. And I really felt it. Like they don't really talk about enough like how much Black girls actually do feel that growing up, how people try to like age us.
Yes.
And I really felt it, especially being like one of the few Black girls in a very like predominantly white community.
Okay.
I had a bigger butt than everybody. I had bigger thighs. I hated sitting down because I like saw how my thighs were pressed down and how thick they were compared to like Sally or Kelly and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So I felt like I was aged so early, but my parents did a good job of making sure that I still remained a kid.
Okay.
So I loved growing up with my parents. My parents never made me feel like super different or anything like that.
But you had to take on that responsibility.
I did have to take on that responsibility on top of like making sure that my grades were good and everything like that too.
Mhm.
So when my mom was done with school and finally came back home, I felt like that was like my rebellious stage. Like I was still like, the golden child. I was still like making like great grades and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But what I would consider a rebel
Mhm.
is like kind of like staying after school a little longer than I needed to,
Yeah.
talking to boys a little more, writing in my notebook like their names and stuff like that.
Mhm.
That was what I considered a rebel. I wasn't doing anything like crazy,
Mhm.
but for what is known in a Nigerian household and how I knew my parents raised me,
Mhm.
that was like my rebel phase. And I felt like I could be a kid again.
But
And
that's what you were doing.
I know, but I want to be perfect for my parents. Like me and my brothers really don't want to make my parents like anything else than proud. Like we really, really care about what my parents think. We really care.
Which is really good.
Is it?
It is good, but it's also important for you to go through the developmental stages that are normal.
Exactly.
Because unfortunately that can also cause issues when you don't, as long as you're staying within the boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
And I've just had this conversation with another one of my friends who was actually also Nigerian American. And she was the eldest sister of, I want to say 8 or 9 siblings.
Mm-hmm.
And she had to take on that role. So we were talking about how children are changing other children's diapers and how that's not good.
Normal.
It's not normal. It's not good.
Yeah.
And someone else made a comment. It's like, well, that's why you're the person you are today. Look at all you went through. And she's like, but
I didn't
need to experience the things I experienced to be this person.
Yeah.
It wasn't all good. It was damaging.
Yeah.
I had to go back and fix a lot of these things that really didn't have to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think sometimes people, when you are successful and you've been in a situation like that, they sometimes overlook your pain because you're successful now.
And you got to think about also culture. It's so normalized in our community, in the Nigerian community, for elder siblings to take on that role.
But it's not just the Nigerian community.
Yeah,
And I think that's what people think, that it's just, it's Hispanic households.
Yep.
I've seen it with African American households.
Yeah.
I do see it. I mean, maybe not so much with the Caucasians, but I definitely see it in other cultures too. Indian households.
It's a collectivism kind of thing.
That's what it is.
Yeah. I think America, why we don't see it in white households often is because like America is so individualistic.
That's what it is.
And like all these other countries, Mexico or like, Hispanic countries in general, African countries, Caribbean, even just, if we think about it, just the Black community in general comes, where do you think that idea comes from? We all come from the same place at the end of the day.
Exactly.
So that collectivism mindset still like carries through. We see how all these athletes come and talk about how as soon as they make it, they want to buy their mom a house. They want to make sure the hood is put on. You know what I'm saying? That comes from that collectivism thought process. That comes from the standard of when you make it, you have to make sure everyone else is taken care of. My mom's brother, her older brother, my mom comes from a family of 7 brothers and 1 other sister. She has 1 elder sister. My mom is, what number? I think she's number 7 out of the 9 kids. I think I'm right. She's number 7 out of the 9 kids. And my uncle went on to become an architect and literally had to pay for everybody else in the household for their school fees and everything like that. He had to take care of everybody else because that was expected of him.
And what are your thoughts on that?
I appreciate that is the example that was set for me because now I want to make sure that my brothers are taken care of. Anytime I know I have it, hey, Cindy, I need to go grocery shopping. I even slide a little bit extra so that, I know Josh and Zach are taken care of because I am that third parent. And it's kind of something that I'm proud of now. I don't want to get rid of the like collectivism thought process, but I do know that for me and my children, I would maybe want to implement that in a healthier way, I think. Because right now it's expected of me.
Right.
I don't want it to necessarily be expected of my children. I want them to choose that, based on the examples that I set for them.
That's really well put.
I'm not pregnant or anything, by the way. I'm just saying, for my future.
Of course.
So, yeah.
Well, yeah, it's interesting because I was actually just having this conversation with a group of women who are successful women who have been in these homes where they've had to take on the brunt of the load and then also have to give back because they were the first ones to make it.
Yeah.
And we talked about this idea of like the money going back instead of going forward, right? So it's once you become successful or wealthy enough to take care of your family, that money is now going to taking care of your parents. But then your children aren't necessarily benefiting, and their children, and moving forward, they're not necessarily benefiting from your wealth because it's taking care of all the people who you're trying to bring up from behind. And whether or not that is healthy, and I like the way that you put it, it's not necessarily an expectation. Like, your brother needs money for school. You pay for it instead of me paying for it because I'm the parent, right?
Yeah.
Expected that you do it. I understand that it's like we all need to collectively bring each other up, but a lot of times that does fall on one particular person who put everything into their life to try to become successful. And sometimes it does create that dependency where the other siblings don't ever really rise up, or people don't rise up the way they should.
That exactly is my father. My dad is the youngest of 4 siblings, all boys. There's only 2 of them that are living now. My dad and his eldest brother.
Okay.
However, lots of kids in the mix, right? And all my family, besides the ones I spoke of earlier, is back home in Nigeria. All of them.
Okay.
So the responsibility of making sure that everybody's taken care of back home, whether there's a funeral or a wedding or just basic necessities, a church needing to be rebuilt in the village. My parents are the ones that are taking care of that. So the thing is, I grew up with the example that you have to make enough to make sure that everybody is taken care of, as well as your kids.
I see.
You know what I mean?
I see.
And I see it as both a noble thing. Like, I admire my parents so much for that. But at the same time, I kind of sometimes offer that ear to my father. Like, okay, if you need anyone, talk to your vent. I kind of just let him kind of talk to me if he needs to, because he needs that outlet and stuff like that, because he is the one that's taking care of everybody. That's all he's known on his life, is making sure that everyone's taken care of, especially being the one that came here and got to make things happen for themselves. Like, man, I always say when people know other people's stories, they be a lot nicer to them.
Yes.
But dang, I'm very nice to my dad. I'll say that. Very nice to my mom and dad. Very, very nice to my mom and dad because of that. Because I know their story, because I hear about their story more and more. And because I care about their story.
And it's important to have that compassion for your parents. I think, especially in America, a lot of times we disregard our parents as we get older. And like
we're talking them as people.
Yes. And they do have needs. They do need help. And like we were talking about with some of the Caucasian families, sometimes you see them putting their parents like in homes versus when you look at some of the ethnic families, when their parents get older, they bring them in their home. And they take care of them themselves. And so there is that. It does kind of, in some ways, backfire at some point because those parents wish that their children would want them in their home. Right? But I do think it's important for people to take care of their parents and to take care of their families. But it is necessary, especially, I will say, when you're dating someone, to have these conversations, especially when they have family members abroad. But even if they're here, because most men who are noble men are going to want to take care of their families. And if you're upset that your husband is sending their dad or their brother money every month when it's like, oh, our son needs swimming lessons. Like, why is this money going here? It's part of the culture.
Exactly.
It's part of the culture, especially as a firstborn. Right?
I think that's kind of why I want to marry a Nigerian so bad.
Okay.
If I'm being honest, I think that's why, like, it's that cultural, like, connection that, like, I feel like sometimes I don't know that I'll be able to get from anyone that's not Nigerian. Unfortunately, my men have problems when it comes to cheating, but
no comment. No comment.
Do you have experience with a Nigerian man? You might be.
Good luck. Good luck.
You might be rightfully compensated. Here's the number here today. I'm telling you, look, I know the cultural backgrounds are very important when it comes to relationships. For me, for exactly what you said. It's hard to explain to somebody why you have to send money back to the village. It's really hard to explain to somebody why, you know, your cousin might have to you might have to pay your cousin's school fees. It's hard to explain that. It's really hard to explain that to someone that might not understand or might not want to understand that, right? So it's not that I'm against like intercultural or interracial relationships. So it's just like for me and mine, I know that it's just easier. Unless someone like really comes to me and like actually wants to understand my culture and stuff like that, which there are people like that are out there like that. But it's just easier to have the mindset of, okay, you know what? I'm an Igbo girl. I want to find me an Igbo man. You know, I just do.
You just want an Igbo man.
And
that's okay.
Maybe I just want Igbo nothings in my ear, man. You know?
That's all it is.
Maybe I just want someone to call me on Molly Chawa. Sweet girl. Okay, baby, one baby. I'm sorry. I'm actually
okay,
not
because the thing is, other men will understand that. Other people will understand that. It's just a conversation and an understanding. But it is obviously a little easier.
Yeah.
You know, when the person has the same background as you do.
It is, yeah.
This video is sponsored by myself and my luxury fragrance line, Fine Forever Fragrances. We have 3 very elegant, feminine, and unique fragrances that you would love. 2911 is our debut fragrance, which is a perfect feminine, everyday, daytime, or date night fragrance. It exudes mystery, elegance, and warmth. Silent Storm is another fragrance that we have, and that fragrance is a decadent gourmand fragrance. It's rich, it's smooth, it's refined, and it has notes of sea salt, caramel, and it gives off an alluring and captivating impression when you wear it. And our final fragrance, Mustard Seed, is a sweet aquatic floral with pineapple, jasmine, and musk. It's perfect for brunch with the girls or basking in the sunshine. It is a sophisticated and memorable fragrance. So if you love to be the best smelling woman in the room, then you have to have these in your fragrance collection. Visit fineforever.com and use the code Dr Daf for 10% off of your fragrances to support this show. Thank you. So in terms of your YouTube channel, you talk a lot about mental health.
Yes.
Because that's important to you. But why is it so important to you?
Man. Okay, so I don't talk about this a lot. In the 5th grade was when I think I had my first depressive episode.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very young.
I remember it too.
Okay.
5th grade. This is a year after my mom, was in school. So it's a year into me taking on that responsibility. Wow, that's kind of just clicking right now. That's crazy. But this is a year into, me having to, care for my brothers a little bit more. I wrote this note, and I'll never forget my teacher at the time, Miss Mouse, and may she rest in peace, found it and called my dad about it. The note, it contained messages of me wanting to not be here anymore, wanting to run away. I don't think I necessarily said I wanted to not, unalive myself or anything like that. But I did talk a lot about not wanting to be here, wanting to run away, right?
Yes.
And that's the first time I remember that, like, I was not, like, happy, right? And I faked a lot of happiness, like, growing up. Like, I faked a lot of it. I was a pretty sad kid. A lot of people didn't know that, but I was a pretty sad kid. I'll never forget when Take Care came out. Ooh, baby. I was in my room every night listening to it. I was like, Drake gets me. Drake gets me. Right. I was like probably in the 10th grade listening to that album. I also like got bullied a lot in school.
For your skin?
I mean, that's some of it. That's some of it.
Because you said you grew up in a mostly Caucasian.
I did, but I'm girl. The people that were bullying were of my people.
Oh. Yeah,
unfortunately, I had this friend group that just they would choose like 2 times out of the year where they just like wanted to turn the whole school against me. And this went from 2nd grade till my freshman year of college. The same friend group. Yeah, we ended up going to college together.
Wow.
I left that school after my freshman year for other reasons, but it literally went on from the 2nd grade till my freshman year of college.
So they wanted to turn everyone against you for some reason.
Yeah, for some reason. Like, it got so bad that sometimes, like, I think it got so bad in the 10th grade that Like, they even tried to turn a teacher against me.
By doing what?
So the teacher, okay, so we would, little story time. We would go to this teacher's room for lunch almost every day, right? Sometimes like we wanted to just chill with her, right?
Yeah.
And she was one of those like cool, Black teachers that like, and we didn't have a lot of Black teachers at school. So anyone that we saw, like we kind of clung to.
Of course.
We even like this same friend group, we clung to like one Black teacher in middle school too.
Okay.
She was my 7th grade science teacher, but she was actually a good one. She was one of the good ones. Okay. It's not till I became an adult that I realized like, some of these bullies are the ones that are becoming teachers and nurses and stuff like that too, like caring for other people.
Let me tell you, it's true.
So this teacher, I don't know if she actually like was talking about other students to these people, but one of the girls like had mentioned like, oh yeah, all that teacher does is talk mess, like da. And the rest of us just kind of leading. She was like one of the like our leaders in the group, like of our friend group. And like, we just kind of overheard. I think that this is the day that she kind of wanted people to turn against me. She was like, going around telling people things that she did was saying that I did them, right?
The teacher?
No, the girl.
Oh, the girl was saying.
And she even went to the teacher saying, yeah, Cindy was talking mess about you, saying that you talk about all your students.
Oh, wow.
So this teacher decides to charge up a 15-year-old girl in school. Me. The teacher charged me up in the hallway. What? Don't you ever say that I'm talking about my students ever again. I don't talk about my students. I'm like,
oh my gosh. Like, where's this coming from?
Where is this coming from? It wasn't me. Yeah. And then I get to the class. It was the next class was the exact class with said girl. And whenever I can tell when like they're about to like turn on me because they start to like distance themselves a little bit more, start to whisper in front of me or like away from me. Like, it's so weird. But I knew that every time I wasn't in the room, they were talking about me. Like this friend group. I knew every time I was in the room, they were talking about me. Because that's just how it was.
But why did you continue being friends with them?
I didn't have any other friends.
You didn't want to try to make any other friends?
These are the only Black girls in the school that I connected with. We all lived in the same neighborhood. It was hard to not be friends with them.
I see.
And it was hard to not want to be friends with them.
Right.
So,
but you didn't have it in you to say, fine, let me just...
I didn't know how to stand up for myself back then. It wasn't until that, like my freshman year of college, that I actually confronted her and said, you've been bullying me since like almost kindergarten. And I finally got to stand up for myself.
What'd she say?
She obviously denied it.
Okay.
But I think like once I left the school, I still wanted to be her friend. I still tried my best to be her friend. But when I started, kind of blowing up on social media in 2017, I'll never forget, I still have the DM. She contacted me and was like, hey, like we weren't talking as much, but there was no beef.
Okay.
Hey, just wanted to let you know, I've been sleeping with Will for the past year. Will is my ex-boyfriend. And she chose when I was blowing up to tell me. I don't know why. What? And the thing is, he was my ex for like the past like year and a half at this point. So I didn't really care, but I was just like, okay, thanks for letting me know.
But there's a pattern with that. People who are just so obsessed with you in that way. It sounds weird because it's like you're bullying me. How could you possibly be like obsessed with me?
Yeah.
But they are in a way. And it's like they still want the things that you have. And it's like she wanted to have your ex-boyfriend. You know what I mean? And because he was your ex-boyfriend. And of course felt the need to tell you that to try to bring you down. But it's like this obsession with your life and your progress and your things and your people.
Yeah.
And it's really sad. It's really sad that this happens. How do you now decide how you're going to make friends as an adult? Because navigating friendships as an adult is tricky.
See, I think a lot of the time people villainize, I don't know why, but Black girls for like a change in like friendship groups and stuff like that, or friends in general. I think as we all come of age, we sometimes make friends and sometimes we lose friends. And I think it's a natural process. I like to go into my friendships now. I used to jump like head first. Like, I want you to be my best friend as soon as I meet you.
Yeah.
Like now you know everything about me. I'm going to introduce you to all my friends. Yeah. I'm going to introduce you to my family. I used to love bomb with friends, but not in a way that I wanted them to like, wanted to manipulate them. Or maybe I did want to manipulate them into sticking around. You know what I mean? It's okay to admit that, It's not that like out of
It wasn't
malice or anything
malicious.
not in a malicious way, but it's just like, I want you around. Like, I actually feel like I care about you enough to give you opportunities and make sure that, you know, like you're sticking around, you know?
Yeah.
So I think I found myself doing that a lot, and I had to take a step back from doing that because I was finding myself in positions to where I had to like end friendships because they weren't the people that I thought that they were, or they showed, I hate to say this term, I really hate when people say like, oh, they show their true colors, but like, you know, they show their true colors eventually. And it's a thing to where it's like, okay, for us to be, you know, healthy, maybe we should just kind of not do this anymore. So it's a trial and error basis for me. But I think right now I have a solid core of people, mainly because I've been going by this specific way of life. When I had like my last like super bad like friendship breakup back in 2020, I vowed after that, I never want someone to think that the end of our friendship is like my fault. And not as in a way that like, you know, of things I control. I can control, I mean.
What do you mean by that?
So I want people to make sure that they have a pleasant experience with me. I want to make sure that I'm leading in a pleasant experience. I know that sometimes like when I feel like I'm wronged, I can react really big. And my reaction to how I've been wronged, it kind of like overshadows anything wrong that they've done.
I know exactly what you
know what I mean?
Yes.
Because my reactions to people whenever I feel wronged was cussing out, calling names.
Okay.
I don't give a F about you. Like, like I would go off the handles when I've been wrong. And sometimes I would feel like it's justified, right?
Yeah.
But when you want to talk to people about how you feel, they're not going to listen to you when you're coming from that kind of place, right? So what I used to do was kind of like brush things under the rug that bothered me. But now what I do is I kind of like approach things as like, I care about you, you care about me. If we want to continue to care about each other, we have to hear each other out. You know, and this is how we're going to do it. We're going to talk to each other nicely, and we're going to have check-ins and stuff like that. So I try to, you know, do friendship audits with my friends. Hey, do you think I'm showing up enough for you?
No.
I am? Great. Okay. Are you showing up enough for me? You are? Okay. Maybe these are places that we can improve. I literally do friendship audits with my friends. I literally check in and say, am I being a good enough friend to you right now? Are you having a pleasant experience with me? Because I think it's very important. Like Lauren London said, I don't like to be a burden, quote people like that. But
it's okay.
But
like Lauren
she said, like, you know, we don't really get to own people. We get to own the experiences that we have with these people, right?
That's right.
So I like to like make sure that it's a pleasant experience. I want you to like, whenever you're with me, I want you to know that you're cared for, you're heard, you're listened to, and like, you know, if our friendship doesn't work out, it's not going to be because I didn't do it. I'm going to try my hardest to make sure that I'm doing my job as a friend, because it is a duty at the end of the day. We have to care about our friendships the same way we care about our relationships. I think a lot of times people care about their relationships a little more than they care about their friendships. They don't treat them the same.
Until the relationship ends. And then
exactly.
They go back to
and
their
then
friends.
They go back to their friends. Yeah, no.
I like that approach. It is difficult as an adult to navigate friendships, but having a system where you are being vulnerable and honest about how you're feeling in the friendship does help. And I think for me personally, that could have really helped me in my relationships, because I, like you, was kind of just letting things slide and then got to the point where I got fed up and just kind of exploded. Then I had to go back and say, you know what, I'm so sorry because I shouldn't have said these things, but I don't want that to take away from what actually happened.
Yeah.
And I think people can appreciate that. And in my situations, they were able to say, actually, I reflected and you're right. You know, I didn't do these things.
Exactly.
And if I think we were having more honest conversations, it would have never gotten to those points. And certain things in life can heighten these issues with friends. Like when you get engaged, when you get married, when you have children, these things will and can just change the friendship dynamics.
Yeah. What I've noticed more is like jobs.
Oh, really?
Like,
jobs.
Because a lot of my friends are in the same field as me.
Okay.
Or like surrounding fields like the same as me. So sometimes like it's about like kind of just hearing each other out. That sometimes is the where we kind of like fall short. And so it's just a matter of making sure that you treat your friendship just like you said earlier, like your relationships, you know? So.
Yeah, that's great. And now, are you in a relationship right now?
No.
No?
No, I am not. I'm proudly single. And I say proudly because I wasn't proudly single for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I am one of those people that is a hopeless romantic. I really want to marry.
Oh, I thought you said a hoe.
Hope.
Hopeless.
Oh, no, girl.
I was like,
mean,
wait, what?
See that too. I'm joking. No, I'm joking.
Hopeless.
No, I'm a
hopeless.
I'm a hopeless romantic. I'm a hopeless romantic. So I really do want, like, you know, I want the flowers. I want the love. I want the fireworks. I want it all. But I have found myself just not in the best relationship. So right now I'm proudly single because I am actively choosing me. And I wasn't doing that. I used to pander to my relationships like a lot in my past. A lot.
Mm-hmm.
To where I was like losing myself. I was one of those, like, I was a people-pleasing person.
Mm-hmm.
So
with your background, how you grew up and having to be that parent, those dynamics create these kind of personality traits.
Yeah.
You know, you wanted to be perfect for your parents. You wanted to be the best daughter you could be. You know, and that translates to your relationships. Like you said, you want to be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So that usually requires you doing what you think the other person wants from you.
Absolutely.
And then you look up and it's like, who am I? What have I done?
Absolutely. I think the hardest thing with like the relationships that I've been in the past is that, like you said, because I wanted to be as perfect as possible, I wanted to shape myself into being like the image and the mold of what the men in my life wanted me to be.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, if he wanted to go to the airport, hey, I'm dropping you off. If he, you know, wanted to take the relationship in this direction, I'm following your lead. I have found myself like kind of just accepting what I thought, like, you know, was the best to come. So I didn't think that I could get anything better. So I would accept a man telling me, hey, you know what? I'm going to punish you by not talking to you for a week.
Right.
What?
Mm-hmm.
That's not normal.
No.
Punish? Huh?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I would experience, you know, just, let's call it light abuse. Emotionally, verbally. And yeah. It got to the point where it was like, all right, who am I doing this for? You know, who am I doing this for? Who am I actually waiting for? And are they actually showing me that they want to be with me by doing all these things? You know? I had to really like sit down with myself last year, I feel like, and think about like, okay, why are you accepting this? Why do you think that's the best that you can get? Why do you think that that's what you deserve? And once I could answer those questions for myself, kind of took like a whole hiatus on men in general. So yeah, I'm proudly single. Proudly.
Wow. Well, abuse is abuse. There is no light abuse. Abuse is abuse. Flat out.
True.
Are you okay with people being unhappy with you in your life?
No.
And I think that's where you probably need to kind of press in on, because it's okay for people not to be happy with you.
I'm not even okay with like my followers being unhappy with me. I want like people to like me so bad that like I over explain sometimes, or I beat people to the punch. If I know they're going to talk about me, I talk bad about myself first. You know, like I will apologize about my image. Like, sorry guys, I might have gained weight. I'm so sorry, you know, that my tummy looks like this right now. I can't count how many times I've actually done that in like my videos in the past, like before. Like I've literally introed my videos like that. I think there was a whole video which like was like my whole setup, like when I did like the group videos. There's a whole group video. It was like, guys, I'm so sorry that like, you know, I look so big right now. I've gained a little weight, but I feel like I always have to apologize for myself before someone else has to bring it up first.
Right.
Because I don't want them to think I'm being dishonest, or I don't want them to like, you know, think that I want to like lay all my cards out on the table, because like, you know, if you don't like me at that point, okay, now I know there's nothing else I can do to make you like me. You know what I mean?
But why do they need to like you?
I don't know. I think it was because of so many years like in school, like having to like explain myself to the people that like, you know, I cared about the most, my friends, having to like, you know, be disliked for no reason.
Yeah.
kind of like was painful to the point where it's like, okay, now that I know I can be in the control of like, whether people like me or not, maybe I should just get ahead of it.
I see what you're
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's something I'm still working on. I'm now coming to terms with the fact that like not everybody's gonna like me. I still kind of like, fight with it here and there, but it's something that I still kind of have to like work on.
We all do, but let me tell you something. People don't even like themselves.
True.
So I don't know how they're gonna like you.
Yeah.
Right? It's one of those things where you have to remember that people are finicky, they're fickle, they like things in different seasons. A lot of people don't even know what they like or when. It's just not something you can control. Yeah. And I think this is probably something that probably comes from a place of wanting to have some control.
Yeah.
And for you, I think that you are naturally so gifted.
Thank you so much.
Do you know what your actual gift is? Have you discovered your gift?
Maybe the gift of gab. I talk a lot.
Having a gift of gab is important, but that's one beautiful thing about gifts. Like when you have a gift, it doesn't matter if people like it or not. They like your gift.
Yeah.
They're there for your gift. It's not even really about you. It's about what's inside of you that they're coming for. And people will always gravitate towards you once you are working within your gift. And they will stay for themselves. They're not for you anyway. They're there for themselves. They're there to get a laugh, get advice, get some makeup tips, look at something beautiful. It's for them. And I think if you remember that, it will help you to kind of create some separation between what they think and how it affects you.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
It's definitely something I'm working on. Like, I have to even remind myself sometimes that like, that people still care. I have a really hard problem sometimes with thinking like, that I'm like the scum of the earth. I don't know why I think that. I really don't know. I know. It's crazy. I don't know.
I don't know either.
But it's something I'm still working on with like talking bad about myself, with like, talking ugly to myself. I've been trying to like, positively reaffirm myself as much as I can, pray more, and just kind of remain consistent in the fact like, that I'm here for a reason. I used to say this every day. I used to post it on my stories every day so that people would know this about themselves too. But if you're breathing, you have a purpose, right? And I think sometimes I stopped saying that to myself. And so I stopped remembering that I had a purpose, or I have rather a purpose.
And that's why I asked you about your gift, because that is intertwined with whatever purpose God created you for.
Yeah.
And once you find your gift, you can find the purpose that gift was created for.
Yeah.
And then you can really live a life where you really are separate from other people's opinions. Now, of course, you're human.
Yeah.
You're going to care what people think, but it won't be to the point where you are anxious coming to the world, when you're bringing them something and then you're apologizing for the way that you look. And you look amazing. And you look, you always do. And
I appreciate it.
And even if you didn't look amazing, that's none of my business. That's between you and you.
Yeah.
It's not just about how you look. You're so much more than that. And we all truly do support you and care about you. And your followers genuinely, from what I see, really love you and love your content and love your authenticity, because that's rare. And it's beautiful to see that on you.
Thank you so much. That really does mean a lot. Thank you.
No, it means a lot that you're so transparent, because I think a lot of people can relate to that and understand. And I will also say you dress yourself so beautifully. Consider, because some people, when they're curvy, they feel like they can't dress the way that they would like to because their body is signaling like sex or, it's too much. It's too over the top because of the way that God designed them.
Yeah.
But I love the way that you're able to make yourself look beautiful, without compromising, based on the shape of your body.
Thank you. It took me a long time to actually work on my style to get to that point. Like, I think I'm even still like kind of working and tweaking on my style because like for a long time, like I had this image of what I wanted to look like. And then there's trends and stuff like that, right? And lifestyle really changes a lot of stuff too.
Oh yeah.
When I lived in Houston, I did not look like this.
Why?
It's a faster paced lifestyle out there.
Okay.
And there's a lot of ballers out there, rappers. bottle girls.
So
and
how
stuff
did you
like
look?
that.
More like skimpy?
Man, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
I mean, I was getting paid, but I was doing like lingerie shoots and stuff like that
Okay.
back then. And I'm just not even that person now.
Yeah.
And like, that was like literally just 2 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
Look at
3 years ago. Yeah. When I lived in Houston, it was like 2019 to 2021. And I was like living a completely, like from 2020 to 2021, that's like when like my little breakout phase.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not like one that likes to go out and stuff like that. So I use that time to like get all of that out of my system and stuff like that. So when I go out these days, I'm like, man, I'm ready to go home. I'm ready to go home. I'd rather be at home playing Sims. Ooh, please. Sims 4 me with all the mods and CC. I'd rather do that.
Right.
Because I'm a person that really just kind of likes to be myself. So I've noticed like as like my lifestyle has changed over the years, I've noticed my style do the same too. So I think now I'm a lot more expressive with my style because I feel like I am like my 100 complete self when it comes to like my lifestyle as well. So
that's nice. And I think when you talk about environment, even the people you're around can impact the way that you dress and the way that you carry yourself, right? So in your friendship groups and as you've evolved, do you now have new friends or how do you decide if someone's going to be a friend in your life?
So it's not that I don't make new friends now, but I do know my solid core now. Okay. I'm at that age where I've had like the people that are around me for like years and I welcome new people all the time, but I feel like I decide like whether or not like, you know, they're going to stick around based on how they show up for me. And it's not like a one-way street, right? Because I'm always going to show up and do my part, like, you know, and ask of people what they, you know, they expect of me in our friendship, right?
Right.
But looking at how I'm shown up for is how I'll gauge whether or not this is a mutually beneficial relationship.
Okay.
So once I see, okay, we actually care about each other for real.
Yeah.
And it kind of continues to prove itself. The friendship kind of naturally builds. It's hard to like kind of let go of a person that wants to stick around.
Yeah.
Not everybody wants to though. And that's okay. That's okay. So when people like, you know, show that they want to, I don't fight it. I accept and want people in my life. I'm the kind of person that I'll have an endless list of friends maybe till the day I die. I might be 80 and make a new best friend.
That's okay. That's a good thing.
I think that's good too.
In life, you have different seasons and stages and people are in your life for different reasons.
Yeah. I'll say season, reason, life.
That's right.
Season, reason, life. I think the season is like, okay, sometimes, you know, people, that just was the season that they were in.
Yep.
You know, I have my Houston friends whenever like, you know, we were really close when I lived in Houston. And there's your reason friends. And the reason ones are like, okay, you taught me this lesson, you know?
Right.
And sometimes I feel like the reason friends can also be the life friends. And, you know, the life ones, I just feel like, okay, whether we're talking every day or whether we're talking like, you know, every 2-3 months or even years, you're going to be here for life. You know what I mean? It's not that I organize you people on that basis, but, you know, y'all have your roles.
You know when to let it go.
You know when to let it go. You know when a friendship has run its course. And I think some people kind of see that in a bad way, like, oh, they're always changing friends, or they have these people running through like a revolving door and stuff like that. And it's like, why is it a bad thing?
Exactly.
You know, why can't we experience people as they come in their different like phases of life and stuff like that? Why does it have to just be like, you know, I don't know, people grow, they change and stuff like that. And you can either grow with people or you can not. And that's okay. Or you can grow back with people or not. That's okay. Things happen.
This is life.
It's life. Yeah.
So now that you're in this place where you're taking a break from dating, but you do see yourself obviously being married to a nice Igbo man, what are some of your standards with dating that you're definitely going to pay close attention to in the future?
So I wrote a prayer last year about the exact man that I wanted. And funny enough, I think that God has been giving me versions of that man to kind of like test, hey, is this him? You know?
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, obviously he knows who he is. Obviously, God knows who he is. I don't yet, but I think God has been like giving me different versions of what I like, you know, see kind of align so that I can be a little more like cognizant of the men that are in my life. You know what I mean? So what my standards are, I want someone that is nice. That's like literally my first standard. I think that people like, would think that my first standard, because I love a good tall man.
Yeah. I think we all do.
I think we all do. But, they like me too. So.
And you're tiny.
I am tiny.
It's like, why do the short girls want the tall guys?
It's not my fault.
Tall guys.
It's not my fault they want me back. I also have like, my physical attributes of what I want in a man, tall. And honestly, they actually don't have to be Igbo. It's just what I would prefer, like, culturally wise. And like, not wanting my culture to die because, the Igbo culture, there's a whole different conversation about like, how the Igbo culture kind of is a dying culture. But anyway, I want someone that's nice first and foremost because I haven't experienced that many nice.
I want to just add something to that. I know I'm adding to your list.
No, you're fine.
But when you say nice, I think maybe the word you may want to think about is kind.
Yeah.
Because nice, everyone can be nice. Everyone is nice.
Yeah.
It's so performative and it's so deceiving.
Yeah.
But kindness is something that you can see.
You're right. I do want someone kind. Kind is actually the word. Yeah. I want someone kind. Someone that like actually wants to hear what like, I have to say. Okay. I think my worries sometimes are often overlooked in my relationships because I put like the thoughts of my partner first. And I care a lot about what they think and what they want. And I kind of don't care about myself in the process. So yeah, I want someone that actually wants to listen to me. This is a new one that I've added. I want healthy yelling.
Healthy yelling?
Yes.
What is healthy yelling?
Okay. So in my family, right, we always know that we're going to love each other, right? Okay. But sometimes when we have disagreements, there's healthy yelling. Okay. There's healthy yelling. I want to be able to kind of sometimes like express myself healthily, not like say names or anything like that. Like nothing like that's unhealthy wise or anything like that. But I want to be able to like, sometimes like scream when I'm upset, and not be looked at like I'm crazy. I know that's a weird thing to want, but like I want to be able to like healthily argue.
And they know that you still love them.
It's coming from a place of love.
It's just part of your personality coming out kind of thing.
And I think there's like only one guy that I was able to like ever like really yell at in a conversation. I think the last guy that I dated seriously, I was even scared to even bring up when I was upset about something with him. I never yelled at him, never raised my voice, but it was scary for me to bring up that, hey, I would like for you to see me more. I would like for you to talk to me more. And I was scared to ever bring that up because every time I did, he said that he was being lectured. Oh. And I was like, wow. Me expressing my concerns about our relationship is lecturing you, dude? Like, come on.
Yeah, he's not mature.
Exactly. So like communication is something like I'm really, really huge on. And my love language is words of affirmation. Like that's my prime love language. Okay. My primary love language is words of affirmation. And so I think that like I want someone that knows how to talk to me and make me feel good about myself. I've been torn down a lot by like some of the men I've dated, and I've let it happen. Like I've started to even believe that that's like, that their words were true. I remember one time I told my ex like, oh yeah, I want to lose 30 pounds. He was like, if you lose any more weight, I'm leaving you.
What?
Yeah. He's like, I don't like skinny women. If you lose any more weight, I'm leaving you.
Oh no.
Yeah. Like it's to the point where I love myself enough to where like, if I'm not receiving that same amount of love that I give myself from you, I don't want it anymore. So like kindness, communication, and healthy yelling are like my top 3. And also like, there's physical attributes as well. But like, I feel like those don't matter as much because I'm not going to talk to you if I'm not attracted to you anyway. So, but yeah,
right.
that doesn't even matter,
No, any man dating you is so blessed to have you because you come with
Thank you
so much, and you'll have that man. God will definitely bring that man to you.
Amen.
What is your relationship with God like?
So my relationship with God has gotten a lot closer lately.
Good.
I love that for me. I was in a really dark place last year to where I thought he abandoned me. I actually just talked about this in the TikTok. I really thought he left me. I started to see like, other people kind of getting opportunities and blessings that I wanted so bad. And I was in a place where I just felt like forgotten. by the people in my life, by God. I was in a dark, dark place. And that's coming from like me being a Sunday school teacher to like me just not praying at all.
Oh, wow. So you went from being a Sunday school teacher to not even praying.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Wow.
as of recently, I want to say like in the past like 3 months type,
Okay.
you know, I've been praying a lot more, doing my Bible study.
Good.
And just I want to emphasize on praying a lot more because like I think we kind of get lost in religion versus like relationship. You know, we get lost in like what the idea of like the church is and the judgmental part of it all. And we forget sometimes that our relationship with God is actually the most important, our personal relationship with God.
Yes.
Because whatever you do, my mom loves to say, whatever you do is between you and your God. You know, because it's all personal to every person. Every relationship is personal.
Yes.
So I would like, you know, my relationship with God is like, we talk a lot more now. I ask directly for signs and guidance. And I'm a lot more comfortable in doing that now, as opposed to where I wasn't before because I just thought I was forgotten. But yeah, I think it's important to like treat every day like you're God's favorite because like you are. Everybody's God's favorite. He hasn't forgotten about any of us.
And he doesn't leave you.
He
ever.
does not.
Sometimes he will distance himself a little bit in order for you to seek him more.
Yeah.
And to kind of bring yourself in a different way to him so he can reveal a different side of himself to you.
Exactly.
But your days have already been planned before you were born. Like he knows everything that he's planned for you and he has great plans for your life. But sometimes it does feel like that. And they say that the teacher is quiet when the students are taking the test, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes you're in a season of just testing and watching, and he's always watching over you. He's always looking after you. He never leaves you. And you don't have to ever worry about that.
Yeah.
He'll always show up when the time comes to show up.
Exactly.
He'll never leave you.
Exactly.
So I'm really glad that you're back in a good place. And
Thank
I hope
you.
that you're able to have a wonderful testimony for us next time we see you about where God has brought you in your life.
Absolutely. Every testimony requires a test.
That's right. Well, thank you so much, Cindy. You've been such a wonderful guest and a blessing to us all.
Thank you for having me.
Where can they find you?
Okay, everyone can find me on every social media platform, TikTok, Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube. Wow. At Cindyrella OG. And I have a podcast as well, Settling Podcast. And we're also on Instagram at Settling Podcast as well. And yeah, that's where you can find me. Yeah.
So definitely take a look at her. You will have a great time consuming her content. She is a breath of fresh air.
Thank you.
Thank you for bringing your beautiful self to us today.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you all for watching. Bye-bye.
Bye.